Coach, how's it feel to be here? Have you kind of gotten settled in? I mean, couldn't pick a better time to make a move than, right in the heart of recruiting time.
Yeah, that's right. No, it feels great to be here. Really excited about the opportunity, to work for Coach Anderson and the rest of the staff, to try to continue what they've done over the last, really 4, 5, 6 years, but, the last 2 years since, he's been here. So excited, just ready to get in, get settled in, kind of learn, what the lay of the land, so to speak. But, look to do big things here and, kind of to continue the success they've had.
Is it kind of ironic that you're normally the recruiter, not the recruited? I mean, when positions come open in any business, whatever it is. I mean, in this business, I mean, coaching positions are hot commodities. I mean, does it feel kind of weird, having the conversations with other schools?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Especially when you've been somewhere for 4 or 5 years, you got a lot vested with the kids and the program and the community, and now that my children are older, and that part's a little bit different. But this is an opportunity that I looked at that I just didn't think I could pass up. To work for a guy like Coach Anderson, and just the energy that he brings and the excitement he brings and the things that he believes in are real similar to the things that I believe in. Obviously the football part, but the family side of things and the way he handles things. Recruiting, the way he handles his players, the way he talks. So I thought it could be really good for me and my family, and just be in a situation with him.
Well, speaking of family, behind every great coach is a great woman, great family, so on and so forth. Talk a little bit about your family, because I mean, so often I think people get wrapped up in the, oh well, this coach is going from this school to this school, and not thinking about everything else that goes on behind the scenes, like the fact that you do have a family. So
yeah, that's right, and that's probably the toughest part of this profession. My wife Tia, she's in my mind the best. I've been with her for a long time. Matter of fact, met her in the 5th grade, so she gets the whole deal. She's been awesome. But anytime you're uprooting your family from somewhere, from one place to another, it puts stress on them. For us as coaches, it's easy. We're going to pick up and we're going to go to work, but you got those responsibilities back home and getting them moved over and all those kind of things. So that part will be tough on them, but they're up for the challenge. And my son Harrison, he's 8. He's ready to get over here and be a Red Wolf, man. That's all he's been talking about for the last 2 days. So then I got 2 little girls, Hadley and Hazy, 5 and 4. So they'll be excited. They'll be at every game. You'll see them around all the time.
One of the biggest things here since Coach Anderson got here was instilling a family culture. I mean, he always talks faith, family, and fun, and that's a constant. Just your thoughts on what you've seen just thus far from him on that side of things, because this staff is a family.
Yeah, that's what's funny. A lot of people say it, but the thing is Joe and I, Coach Cawthon, have been close for a long time. Probably the last maybe 15 years. So he's been telling me that for a while now. And then when I had the opportunity to meet Coach, he was dead on what he had been telling me. So, and then you get here, and I've been here 2 days now, and it's exactly what he said it was going to be. So that's the encouraging part. The guy's, he's telling the truth, and he means it. You can tell he's a down-to-earth guy, and I think that's why the attraction to him is why people like him so much.
Well, you guys, speaking of Coach Cawthon, you guys have been in the trenches together, if you will. I mean, for a lot of people that don't know, at Valdosta, I mean, you guys won a national championship, and side by side, I mean, you handle the offense, he handles the defense. Well, guess what? The band's back together again. Yeah. Just talk about Coach Cawthon and what you guys have been through, and maybe the role he played in helping you with this decision.
Well, I think it's funny. This is our 4th go-round. I played for him and played against him as a quarterback. He was a defensive coordinator, so that's kind of where the relationship started back in, I guess it was '04. So then Valdosta, and then middle, and now here. So. But he's a guy that I've always looked to for advice. A lot of times it wasn't advice on, hey, we're going to work together again. It was like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, in this one, obviously, he had a little bias. So it was hard to talk to him about this one. But I'm just glad to be back together with him, and I think our relationship, and the kids will feed off us. So we're going to compete and get after each other. but we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Let's talk about your philosophy. I mean, obviously, it's been made pretty open that, you know, it's Coach Anderson's offense and it's going to be with your wrinkles. Let's talk about your offensive philosophies, what you see, what you've learned. And I mean, and obviously, my gosh, you put up almost 6,000 yards this year with the freshman quarterback at middle. Talk a little bit about that philosophy and how that kind of even translated this past season.
Well, I think, you know, our philosophies are very similar: up pace, tempo. You know, we want to spread the ball around, get it to many athletes in spaces you can get it in, and let them make the plays. You know, I believe in utilizing the skill set that you have. You know, each kid could be different. If they can help you, find a way for them to get on the field. We're going to do that. You know, and make it easy on the quarterback. You know, whatever we got to do to make his job easy, that's what we're going to do, and put him and all the players really in the best position to succeed.
Let me ask you, obviously you being a former quarterback, how much has that helped you being a quarterback coach, an offensive coordinator? I mean, you have a different perspective than, say, a lot of guys who haven't played that position.
Right. I think the biggest thing with that is, you know, the struggles that they're going through when they're not playing good or they're in a battle. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'll be able to, you know, and when you're in a group of 4 or 5 guys and you're competing to be the starter, I've been in every situation. I've been the starter, I've been benched, been the starter again. So I understand what they're going through, you know, when they walk out of here and, you know, they go home and they've been benched, or they've been, you know, they're no longer the starter, or they didn't win the job. And, you know, I think that's where, you know, I'm able to, you know, really corral them in, you know, hey, understand, hey, you never know when your opportunity is going to rise, and you just got to be ready, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing, is I'll understand the things that they're going through as players.
Let me ask you this. I mean, as far as you mentioned quarterbacks and so on and so forth, have you had an opportunity to really take a look at this team and the weapons that you're going to have yet? I mean, I know it's been pretty quick, but I would imagine you're a football junkie just from what I've read and learned about you so far, that you would maybe have a chance to check out what you have coming back. Yeah,
you know, just talking to the guys throughout this process, and, you know, what kind of weapons we have here or there, you know, how can we utilize our talent. You know, they're very high on what they have, and that's very encouraging. But we're going to get in here, everybody's going to get a fresh, clean slate, and we're going to go compete. And, you know, like I said, find a way. If you're good enough, we're going to find a way to get you on the field and get you the ball. But I know there's good players here, and we just got to continue to, you know, just to get better and find ways to win.
Coming into a position like this with recruiting back underway, open contacts here, I mean, we're just a little over 2 weeks away from National Signing Day. That transition, how do you handle that? And I mean, you're jumping in with a new staff. Of course, yeah, you know some of them,
right,
and you've gotten to know Coach Anderson some. But how do you handle that transition? Because it's kind of weird when you go from recruiting one place to now recruiting at a new place.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing probably on coaches across the country. Is, you know, you've been recruiting, you know, kids at one place for a year, you know, and you're telling them one thing, and you mean what you're telling them, you know, and then you have an opportunity to move on, or whatever it is, and better yourself, or whatever the situation may be. You know, a lot of times coaches get, you know, bad raps for that, or whatever it may be, but you mean what you tell them. If it's something better for you to move on and get, you know, another situation, you know, that's the hard part in the recruiting, but it's just, you know, it's kind of part of the business, and I look forward to meeting the guys that these guys have had committed, and I should meet most of them this week, and, you know, we'll just pick up and we'll be ready to go when they get here.
What's kind of your philosophy on recruiting? I mean, you know, every coach has different, and of course every recruit's different hot buttons, different person that's helping them make their decision, and you kind of have to figure that out. But what's kind of your philosophy on recruiting?
My philosophy is, you know, the number one is what's their character like? You know, are they a good person? You know, how are they going to fit in? Because I think the football team, you got to be all in it together. And is he a guy that gets satisfaction off his teammates' success? If he does, then he's going to have a chance to play and help win. You know, because ultimately that's the bottom line, is winning. So, you know, those are the things I look for. And then, is he a tough kid? You know, because tough people make it in this game. You know, so character, toughness, and, you know, and then obviously, can he run, catch? You know, do all the things that he's needed to do at that position. But if he's not high character and he's not very tough, you know, it's going to be hard for him to make it over a 4 or 5 year period.
Kind of shifting gears a little bit, you know, as you've kind of evolved in coaching and so on and so forth, what has maybe been the biggest challenge on the coaching side of things? You know, I have friends who are former players and who have gotten into coaching, and I've said, what is it that's so different now? What do you see now? And they've all had different answers, but one of the answers is you just don't realize how much work a coach actually puts in that you don't see. But for you, what's maybe some of the biggest challenges you've seen since you've gotten into coaching?
I think the biggest challenge that you see every year is now we're in a right now society, and everybody wants it right now. Well, it's not always going to be that way. These kids that are coming in, they're the best player on their team, and then they're fixing to get on a team that with 85 to 105 guys that were the best player on their teams, and so that's the thing is you got to find a way to mold all those guys together, get them believing in something, and playing all, and for one direction. And, so that's probably the biggest thing is being able to get those freshmen come in, hey, you got to mold them into the way fighting for the same cause and all that stuff, because like I said, it's a right now society, and it doesn't always happen that way.
How do you handle, say, the quarterback position? You mentioned what it's like. You've been there. You've done that. What is it maybe that you look for? Because I know that in some of the coaches that I've talked to, and Lord knows we've had a few, but they always talk about an it factor. They talk about a certain factor that they're looking for from a quarterback. For you, you're coming in a situation where the senior is gone, and it's going to be a fairly open competition, I would assume, but for you, just what are you looking at from the quarterback position? Because you have a different view. You played it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, like I said, I'm looking for is leadership, number one. Is the rest of the team going to believe in you when we got to go score with a minute to go in a game? That's what you're looking for, one, and then toughness. Okay, the quarterback in my mind's got to be the toughest guy on the field, both mentally and physically, because you're going to get all the credit when things are good, and when things aren't good, you're going to get the blame, and that's just part of the position. So if you can handle those two things right there, you got a chance to succeed. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't throw. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't run. So those are the things that I look for in the quarterback is leadership, toughness, and then we'll work his release and things like that help the offense go, and we're going to play to the quarterback's strengths.
What did you maybe learn from this past season, having a freshman quarterback, but you still having a lot of success in what you did that you can maybe carry over into this where you're going to have a new quarterback? I mean, there's no question about it. There's going to be a new starting quarterback at Arkansas State. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing that I learned from that was the things that I do believe in is leadership, toughness, those things. Even though he was a freshman, he had those qualities. And he was able to come in and do those things, and he was a tremendous player, obviously, and had a lot of success. So I not only, but he probably learned something from me. I learned a lot from him. He was a great, tough kid, and did great things for us last year. And so I think I'll be able to relay those things to whoever the quarterback is. Hey, look, it doesn't matter what year you are. If you've got these qualities right here, and you're willing and you're able to learn the offense and do those things, the best man's going to play.
Okay, so, National Signing Day is coming up, but won't be long and spring football is going to hit. What does Coach Buster Faulkner look for in spring? Because we know how vital spring is. You guys only get so many practices a year, and every one of them count. But as you go into spring football, what is going to be your main emphasis, and what is going to be one of the first things that you need to do?
I think the first thing we got to do is we got to find out, where the pieces are going to fall. Is he going to be an outside receiver? Is he going to be an inside receiver? Who's going to be, obviously most of the offensive line is back, but I think we've got some injuries that won't go through spring. We got to find depth. We got to find a quarterback. And then the other thing is we just all got to be on the same page going into the summer and, going into summer camp. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that are back, so we got to find a way to keep it simple for them, get better fundamentally, and have a lot of fun.
What is maybe your coaching style? I mean, every coach is a little different, but what is your coaching style in regards to, say, in practice and in a game, but then in play calling? What is your style?
I'd say my style is I'm very competitive. I don't know that I'd like to think you're not going to find anybody more competitive than me. Very intense. I believe in teaching the kids, though, and having fun with them, making them believe, and I think that's the biggest thing is, and having fun with them. You know, this at the end of the day, this thing's about having fun. And if we ain't having fun, you're usually not winning. And I know those two things go hand in hand, but if we can have fun and fly around and know what to do, I think we'll be successful.
How much is that relationship? We mentioned Coach Cawthon, and obviously you mentioned the battles that you've had and those that are yet to come. How much do you think that that's going to help you acclimate a little bit, knowing how he does things and then being able to be out there, whether it's on that field, whether it's in the indoor, and competing against each other and kind of everybody has the same goal of what you're trying to accomplish in practice and what you're trying to get ready for, but how much of that relationship and knowing how he does his defense and so on and so forth, how much do you think that's going to help?
I think that's going to help a lot. You know, I really do. And probably more so of just like, hey, practice schedule here. What's it like, you know, when we go to pass Kelly or 7-on-7 or inside, you know, in the past when I've worked with him, we did a lot of things together. And, you know, when you're at places like Valdosta, you know, there's only got 5 guys on staff, so you really do a little bit of everything. You know, so I think just the familiarity with that is going to help a lot with me.
What is maybe your biggest influence that's been had on you, whoever it is? Who's been your biggest influence where you are maybe as a man and as a coach?
I think, you know, the biggest influence in coaching was my high school coach, Robert Hill. He's the reason I wanted to coach. You know, we still talk 2-3 times a day or a week, but he's probably the most influential person as far as, you know, coaching goes. You know, and Chris Hatcher's another guy that head coach at Samford who I lean on a lot. But those two guys a lot, you know, and as a man, you know, obviously my dad, you know, just the way he raised me and, you know, compete, be tough, do what's right, and those are the things I believe in.
At what moment did it hit you that you said, okay, I want to be a coach? I mean, have you always known, or was there just a time during your playing career? What was it?
It was when I was probably in the 10th grade, 11th grade, and realized that I wasn't going to the NFL. You know, so, and I would, like I said, Robert Hill was my guy, and I'll never forget my last game of my senior season. We're on a 4-hour bus ride, and I didn't have any scholarship offers or anything like that. And we're almost home. We just got knocked out in the quarterfinals, and he knew I wanted to coach. He walks up to me and he hands me a newspaper article, and he goes, "Hey, this guy just got the Valdosta State job." It was Chris Hatcher. He says, "You ought to walk on down there." I said, "Go." So that's what I did, and you know that's how it ended up working out, and you know, here I am today.
That experience of being a walk-on, as you mentioned, how much does that mean to you? Because I mean, obviously, one of the things that I see in today's recruiting world, if you will, you see a lot of kids who get a ton of attention, and some of them handle it well, some of them don't. Some of them kind of take it for granted and use it as much as possible. That opportunity that you got and that experience, how much did that help you to where you are today?
I think that helps a lot, and the reason being is because you know we're going to go in and meet about 85, 105 guys. Some of them are going to be walk-on. For me, it doesn't matter whether you're a scholarship guy, non-scholarship guy, 5-star, 1-star. None of that matters. You know, it's you're all going to have the opportunity to play, and the best man's going to play. And you know, so I think that really has been something in my career that you know when I'm on each team each year, I don't care about all the other stuff. I care about the best guy and you know who's going to win the job.
Do you feel like that's made you a better evaluator of talent, maybe going in with that open mind for somebody who went in and had to battle to just make a team, let alone start games and have a college career? Do you think that that's maybe helped you a little bit?
I think that's helped me as far as the intangibles go, you know, and really taking a look at the things that I talked about, character, toughness. And it's not just what you see on film. I mean, does he have these qualities, you know? So those things really matter to me because, you know, like I said, I didn't have any scholarship offers, was able to walk on and end up, you know, winning a bunch of games and throwing for a bunch of yards. So that stuff doesn't matter to me. You know, just the best man's going to play.
All right, who's Coach Faulkner outside of football? If you're not eat, drink, sleep in football, what does Coach Faulkner like to be doing?
I like to, you know, hang out with my kids and family, watch them play sports. You know, other than that, I don't have many hobbies. You know, but you know that's what I do. A family man. And football, that's about it.
If you were not a football coach, what would you be doing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't thought about it because I think it's the only thing I can do.